migrants to the UK. A series of raids were carried out last month in northwest Germany. Our home and legal correspondent Dominic Casciani has more.
These seizures last month have been considered by the law enforcement agencies as one of the biggest successes since Germany's police agreed to take on a crucial role in tracking the gangs. A joint operation involving the NCA, German police and French prosecutors seized 13 faithful boats, 360 hunts, 20 engines and 9,000 life jackets from locations across Germany's northwest. Warehouses close to the Belgian border have long been used by smugglers. Equipment were passed and undertaken delivery to the French beaches, and the NCA said many of the items were bundled up and ready to go. The massive seizure on the 21st of May was kept secret until now, while other related investigations continued. Separate figures from the Home Office this week show that French police teams, paid for by the UK, were able to intercept and stop 65% of all attempted crossings last month.
The BBC is announcing it will axe a number of programmes to make £500 million worth of savings during the next 2 years. The corporation's Director General, Matt Britton, said between 1,800 and 2,000 jobs would go, around a quarter of them in BBC News and TV and radio related roles. He also said the corporation will be reducing senior leaders by at least 10% to make it simpler and faster. The BBC says allegations about the television presenter Anthony Kane are being taken seriously. It's understood the corporation believes comments on his social media accounts, which were made about women before he worked for the BBC, are deplorable. This report is from Nick Johnson. You may find some of the language offensive.
Multiple tweets posted on Ashley Kane's account between 2011 and 2015, which were initially reported by The Guardian and which had been seen by BBC News, referred to women as sluts, slags and hoes, and made further sexist and sexually explicit remarks. The 35-year-old presented the BBC 3 series Into the Danger Zone, which aired last year, and he also appeared on Celebrity MasterChef. The former footballer and reality TV star currently has more than 2 million followers on Instagram. The Guardian said the tweets were publicly available until last night. It's understood the BBC was unaware the alleged remarks had been posted on social media. BBC News has contacted Ashley Kane's representatives for comment.
Nick Johnson reporting.
Tom, thanks very much. The International Energy Agency says that oil stocks of OECD countries have fallen to their lowest level in nearly 40 years. But they do expect them to recover gradually in the months ahead before tipping into a significant surplus next year. That is, of course, dependent on the Strait of Hormuz being opened. And there were encouraging signs today, with maritime tracking sites reporting that 3 Iranian oil tankers have passed through the waterway. First time that's happened in 2 months. It comes as Tehran and Washington are preparing to sign an agreement aimed at ending the war, and with it, ending the largest oil supply disruption in history. Serious challenges remain. Iran has said the peace deal requires Israel to withdraw from Lebanon, but even this morning, Israel has been striking southern Lebanon. G7 leaders who've been meeting in France issued a joint statement calling for an immediate ceasefire. When President Trump spoke to reporters at the summit, he was asked about the Iran deal.
It's a very strong deal. Nobody knows what it is, but it's very strong. And most people seem to be very happy. Who's really happy is the market, because the market's gone up thousands of points over the last 4 or 5 days since hearing about it. And the strait is going to be opening. It's already partially opened. It's going to be opening up soon in full over the next day or two. And the market has gone wild, and oil has come tumbling down. Oil is at $73 to $74, and it's getting to very close to where it was before the crisis. The difference is now we have Iran without a nuclear weapon. So we'll see how that all plays out.
Hello. I was wondering if you have a toothbrush, because I haven't brushed my teeth in like 3 days since I've been here. And also I was wondering, I was told earlier that you might have some underwear, because I don't have any change of clothing, and I can feel, because I've got this UTI, so it causes sometimes some leakage, so I need like some pads. And I can't wear pads without underwear.
Bombs right smack in the middle of their head.
Sorry.
Okay, because they misbehaved for 47 years.
Well, Nick Butler was head of strategy at BP. He was also a political advisor to Gordon Brown when he was Prime Minister, and he's now a visiting professor at King's College London. I asked him what the news about the very low oil stocks mean for the global economy.
You have to go back and look at what's happened over the last 3 months. And the reason the global economy hasn't been hit more seriously are two reasons. First of all, the lag between tankers coming out of Hormuz and reaching their destination. Until a very few weeks ago, they were still coming. They're not coming anymore. And then secondly, the stock release organized by the IEA, which was very considerable, has been successful because it's softened the impact around the world. And the impact is already serious, but now you can't pull down stocks to zero. And there is a risk, I think, that this deal looks very fragile and new supplies may not start flowing for some time.
But sorry, can I just pick up on you? Given all that you're saying, are we at such a crunch point that it illustrates the pressure on President Trump?
Yes, I think he looks desperate to do a deal, and I'm sure he's being told by business and other people in the US that this is a really difficult moment, because if we don't get new supplies coming, and they won't come immediately anyway, because it will take a long time to get the ships out from Hormuz and to reach their destinations and then to go back in to get any more supplies. I think he sees a real economic problem coming up, and I'm afraid the Iranians, who are very sophisticated negotiators, see this too and see that he is under pressure, and they have every incentive to push for more.
Right. Well, if we just assume for the sake of argument that this is an opening up and it remains open, there's a lag obviously from what you're saying. How slow is that return to normal business?
I think it's at least 6 months. I mean, 3 months to get the ships moving and going back in again, but also quite a lot of damage has been done into energy facilities in the Gulf. We don't know all of it. The estimate of that is that it will cost between 25 and 50 billion to repair. That will take time. So this is a medium-term challenge, and if the deal doesn't go ahead, that challenge will be greater and the market will react accordingly.
I mean, is the need for Middle East oil so great that it will bounce back? Or is there also a question of trust now and an awareness of the dangers attached to this geography?
Both are true. I think the ships, once they come out, will be rather wary of going back into what is still a conflict zone. So that is one level of it. And secondly, I think the insurance business is going to be rather wary of funding ships going back in at the moment.
Assuming all is good, though, are we yet to see the lowest point, given what you were saying about the lag, as in just the impact on the global economy?
No, I think because we're only now experiencing the fact that 15 weeks of supply have not arrived because of the lag on the previous supplies, which have been coming until about 3-4 weeks ago. No, I think we're now going into the most difficult period of all.
BBC's diplomatic correspondent Paul Adams is in the studio. Paul, President Trump says nobody knows what's in this memorandum of understanding. It hasn't been officially published, but you're getting some information.
Well, I think multiple news organisations, including CNN and Bloomberg, are now publishing what they say is a draft of the memorandum. It is a couple of pages long, it is 14 points. I should caveat my remarks by saying that the White House spokesman has just said that the supposed text does not reflect the actual language of the memorandum, and I think the Tasnim, the Iranian news agency, has also said it's inaccurate, but it does give a bit of an indication as to what we can expect. The immediate lifting of the US naval blockade of Iranian ports, and Iran immediately taking steps to ensure that maritime traffic can move through the Strait of Hormuz. There are also lots of carrots in there for Iran. The US will immediately issue waivers to allow Iran to benefit from the export of oil. And we're beginning to see that playing out already with this news of these tankers on the move. And that as the negotiations proceed, and if they proceed well, then the US undertakes to start unfreezing, Iranian funds and assets, which could total as much as $120 billion. All that Iran seems to be offering, apart from reopening the Strait of Hormuz, of course, is to reiterate that it will never produce a nuclear weapon, something that it has done multiple times in the past. Obviously, all the difficult stuff, as we anticipated, is for the negotiations that will follow the signing of the MOU on Friday. So we don't know if this reflects the final language of the deal, but I think it gives us a pretty good idea.
Does it say anything about the removal of enriched uranium that's already enriched?
The fate of the highly enriched uranium will be adequately addressed in the final agreement. All of these really tricky things are being shoved off for the 60 days of negotiations. And by the way, not just 60 days, but that is extendable by mutual consent. So we are potentially at the beginning of a process where if the Iranians continue to handle it skillfully, as Nick Butler was just talking about, this could go on for a very long time.
Okay. Suggestion of hundreds of billions of dollars of development fund. What do we know about that? That actually what the US could be paying to Iran?
No, I think the Americans have made it very clear that there is going to be no government money involved in this. But the document that we're seeing does talk about a $300 billion reconstruction and reparations program involving investment from around the world. Anyone, frankly, who's interested in investing in Iran can join this. I think it's unreasonable to expect the Gulf states, which have obviously been on the receiving end of a great deal of damage inflicted by Iran, to stump up that money themselves. But Reuters have reported that about half of that money has already been pledged by investing in companies based in the US, the Gulf, Asia, South America, and Africa. Now, we just don't know if that's true. It's an awful lot of money. And the Iranians will be expecting to get some of that. But if it's an investment vehicle where companies can cash in on it, then yeah, why not?
Paul Adams, thank you very much. By early morning on Friday, we will know if Andy Burnham is the new MP for Makerfield. If he is, what will happen then? Well, this morning, the BBC's Chris Mason asked the Prime Minister about what might happen at the end of the week.
Yes, of course. There is Westminster talk about what might happen by elections. I would just point out we didn't listen to by elections, but these are you're saying that with the focus. Some of this parliamentarianisation is with that by elections. Straight after Makerfield, if Anthony Burnham wins, I hope he does. That's why I thought members will go towards him, so I hope he wins. But we then sit straight into